Oh, am I live? Oh, am I live? Yeah, I guess I am live. Let's turn off that background noise going on there. Hello, welcome back to Streets of New Capenna, which doesn't seem too depressing yesterday, didn't it? We found a couple of cards that I might even play. Nothing really to do with the set, was there? You know, nothing that made the mechanics leap out at me and go, oh, here's an exciting new set with new things. Just some bog standard, basic, good quality cards that could have been printed years ago. Watch now with pt2. Oh, I've got somebody in already, have I? Hello. Welcome. I'll just put the chat room up somewhere where I can see it on my computer over there. Now, where are we going to start today? We're going to start today with some errata, because we got hold of the wrong end of the stick. It's been pointed out to me that I got some things wrong yesterday. So let's, before we crack on with the cards, let's just go and make sure we actually understand how all the mechanics work. So first of all, we had a problem with shield counter. I'm sure I noticed this at the start, but certainly by the end of the stream, I was talking about shield counter as if it was just preventing damage. And there is a difference. Shield counter does prevent a creature from being destroyed. When an opposing source would make this card take damage, be destroyed, or lose shield. So it's not merely damage coming. Well, you could have told me, Shmara. Shmara in the chat there. Just saying, I made a mess of it last time. You could have told me, couldn't you? All you people in the chat sniggering away at me, getting everything wrong. Could have said something. I might have even read it. You never know. It's unlikely, but every so often I look at the chat, don't I? So shield counter does prevent things being destroyed. Does this make me care more? I mean, obviously it's slightly better than just preventing things from taking damage. Does it make me care more? I mean, probably not really. To be perfectly honest, like a lot of my removal suite these days is about bounce. You know, I'm a big fan of Depart the Realm. Is an amazing bounce card. Harbinger of the Tides has always been a good bounce card, you know, that I occasionally play. You know, and then there's the Kami War, there's Introduction to Annihilation, there's cards that exile cards, and it looks like all of these things are going to circumvent shield counter. So yeah, so I'm not sure I'm any more excited about shield counter today when I've been told that it stops things being directly destroyed than I was about it yesterday when I was talking like I didn't know that. Anyway, you know, maybe we'll get to some shield counter cards that I like in the future. Still got plenty of cards left to look at. The other card we were getting wrong, and it makes sense really, doesn't it, was Blitz. I mean, I read this a few times, didn't I? I went back and read this a few times, but apparently still got it wrong. Let's go. When you cast this creature, you may have it lose Blitz. If you don't, it gains haste and imminent death. So I tripped over the double negative here, okay? So you can either cast this creature and it loses Blitz, and then it's just a creature. As normal, it sits in play, it attacks, it does all the normal creature things. That's one mode of Blitz, yeah? Is you just have a creature. And the other mode of Blitz is, when a creature comes into play, you choose to make it lose Blitz. No. You choose not to make it lose. You see how I'm getting tripped up? You choose not to make it lose Blitz, and that means that the creature slowly dies from imminent death, and that you get a card with some mana in it when it dies. So I was really confused about this yesterday, wasn't I? I was thinking that the two modes weren't working properly because it would either kill itself in one mode and draw a card in the other mode, but that's not how it works. It's one mode where it kills itself with imminent death, and you get a card after it does kill itself with imminent death. I still don't really like it. I mean, a lot of the cards we've seen with Blitz have just been like, you know, a 4/4 creature that dies and puts, you know, and gets you another card after it's died. I mean, what is the point just hitting your opponent once for 4 points of damage, which, let's remind ourselves, is not a large portion of their life points. If you hit somebody for 4 points of damage, not the same as it is in paper. So, I mean, we saw the very first guy that we looked at, the card that we looked at was a card that came into play and gave itself a bunch of reinforcements, you know. So, you know, and that's interesting with imminent death. That would mean it would count down, it would stay in play, it would get a bunch of damages in. But, you know, most of the other cards we've seen have just been, yeah, a single 4/4, it attacks, it hits your opponent, it dies, and then you get another card to replace it, and you're like, well, what was the whole point of doing that? I mean, there might be some synergies with something like, I'm wondering about something like Killer Instinct. You know, when you cast this creature, you may have it lose Blitz. So surely if you put a Blitz creature into play with a Killer Instinct, yeah, you don't get the choice to make it lose Blitz. So it comes into play. The Killer Instinct would kill the creature anyway, so you don't really mind that the Blitz kills the creature, and maybe, depending on which effect triggers first, maybe you get a card with a bunch of mana in it. You know, so there might be some synergies, but the basic mechanic, as is so often the case with Octagon, the basic mechanic just seems a bit, why would I do that? You know, it's certainly not as awful as Ninjutsu was, but does seem a bit like that. The last thing I wanted to go on about, we've looked at these two mechanics. It's the last thing I got wrong yesterday was this here card. I know it's a bit of a show. I was getting quite excited by this here card as a decent card that killed things. But again, I got tripped up in the way that it describes itself. You get to the end of the card and it's dealing 3 damage to each creature. So I was talking about this as if it was converting each creature, but it's not. It's converting target opposing creature and your first creature. So it's not a one-sided board sweep at all. So don't all rush out and get this card on my account. It's still not an awful card, you know. It might, you know, kill one of your opponent's creatures and make your stack of tokens quite big for a big attack, you know. I'm not sure I really care about that, but not the most awful card in the world, but significantly worse than I was talking about it yesterday, like it was just doing a one-sided board sweep. That thing is never going to kill a Gaia's Revenge, and that alone is enough for me to not want to put a 15 mana removal spell into my deck. Shall we move on with the actual cards then? This is how far we got yesterday, I think, wasn't it? Ishai, Jutai Dragon Speaker was how far we got yesterday. Let's move on to Jaxis the Troublemaker, who has Blitz. And we know how that works now, don't we, everybody? So, at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may discard the last card in your hand. If you do, reinforce the first other creature you control until end of turn. It gains haste. I mean, there's a prime example of why would I want to blitz this guy and just get a single one-shot out of this. Yeah, have it replaced with, you know, basically a card of the same cost, 8 mana, 12 mana. There's not much difference there. Yeah, this is exactly what I was kind of taught. It's not just a single basic creature that just attacks, but it is a single basic creature that just attacks and makes one of your other creatures attack for a little bit more. It's not much different from that. Yeah, I don't see why I would want to play that with Blitz. What I want to play without Blitz, Would I want every turn to have a creature that was just doubling the power and toughness? No, not doubling the power and toughness. Reinforcing. Us spikes, we tend to think of it like that, yeah? We tend to think of reinforcing a creature as doubling its power and toughness, because any more time and effort you put into pumping up creatures, the game's probably gone by then. So that's just my brain taking a little spike shortcut of doubling a power and toughness. Johnny players would slap me up smartish for saying that's doubling power. One single reinforcement, Steve? That's nothing like doubling its power and toughness. Johnny and Timmy players would be aghast at me for saying that was anything like doubling its power and toughness. Yes, would I want this creature in play, discarding a card and drawing a card, and putting an extra reinforcement on a creature? I mean, basically no. You know, just play with a better creature than this creature in your deck. If you want to hit harder with the other creature, then instead of this card, put a creature that hits hard in your deck. It's not good, and we move along. Geneva, Nephalia's Scourge. When this creature enters the battlefield, move the top X cards of each player's library into your exile. Interesting. X is the amount of mana used to cast this card. What have we got? We've got 6 stored mana. Do you think when it says the amount of mana used to cast this card, presumably it means X is a maximum of 6 and not that X is a maximum of 19? Let's assume that X is a maximum of 6, since the 6 has a big X behind it. Those cards gain the Darkness Emblem. When this creature attacks, pick one of the first 4 spell cards with the Darkness Emblem from your exile. Fetch that card, it gains full mana. We like full mana, don't we? Do we like this card? It's very small, isn't it? We're paying 19 mana for a 1/3. It's very small, but it is giving us some cards and putting full mana into it. I'm tempted to say that I would never play this over Velomachus Lawhold. That seems to be the most direct comparison that I can see. Yeah, you're paying nearly 20 mana for a creature that is fetching a card and putting some mana into it. Now, Velomachus Lawhold doesn't necessarily fill the card full of mana. There's a difference there. But it is very large. It's even got Vigilance thrown in for a laugh. Velomachus Lawhold, which saves you a point of damage or 2 every now and then. And of course, when I play Velomachus Lawhold, I'm very handy at making sure that I put more than one of them into play. So I get tons and tons of mana out of it. You know, I don't want 8 mana in a card. I want to be able to cast as many deploys off it as I want to. I want it to cast huffs for me. That's what I want. So this is, yes, Velomachus Lawhold is putting 8 mana into a card before it's reinforced. This is putting full mana into a card. But the trade-off is that this is very tiny. This is a 1/3. You know, there are better ways of just casting expensive spells, I think, than a 1. That was not me. Oh, what are you doing to me, Facebook? I'm going to have to go into here, aren't I? Damn you. This is clearly going to be a problem. What's causing? I swear to God, it's not my finger touching the screen. I know that sometimes, you know, you don't have to get your finger very far around the edge of the screen for it to do it. Facebook. I swear to God, I'm balancing the phone on my hand now. None of my fingers are creeping around the front of the screen. I swear to God. All right. So if it does it again, it's blatantly some problem in the software. All right. How are we doing? Hostile takeover. We're not that far. Yeah. I guess it's okay. As I say, I feel like I'm always wanting to be playing with Velomachus Lawhold. You've got the fun factor in this, in that it steals cards off your opponent to cast. And that's really is more of a fun thing, I think, really, rather than a a power thing, because it's only getting spells, isn't it? Yeah, you're taking 6 of his cards, but it's only spells that you get to cast of his. It's not like Italy, where you used to get a single card every single turn, fill it full of mana. That's the decent way, in it, of playing with your opponent's cards. Is never having to is getting one every single turn and never having to pay for them. I don't know. I guess it's not too bad. This sort of carelessness is why GP is in second place, says Schmar. Oh, you're going to get such a beating with my beating stick when I get my hands on you, seriously. Moving along, Janara Asura of War. At the beginning of your turn, convert a gem to white. Wow, that is crap. A gem, convert a gem to white. That's crap. It's a 3/3, it has connive. When you match 3 or more white gems, this creature connives. We don't know. They're always very inconsistent, are they, about when it says when you match, about whether it means with a swap or whether conversion will allow it. Honestly, even if this thing got bigger every single turn, I'm not sure I'd care. There's a difference, isn't there, between this and a Chlorophant, which gets bigger every single turn, which is that this is discarding and drawing cards. So I suppose there's a cycling aspect to it as well. But it's a cycling aspect you can't depend upon, because you don't know if you're going to get white matches, and this useless thing certainly isn't going to help you get white matches very quickly. Convert a gem to white. Should really have pumped that number up above 1, I think, to make that a card that we will care about. Blimey, here's some small text. Jetmir, Nexus of Revels, is a cat demon. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control 3 or more creature cards, including their reinforcements, well, you obviously control 1, you control Jetmir. Creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain vigilance until the beginning of your next turn. Right, bit pointless that, bit of a weak ability. If you control 5 or more creature cards, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample. Again, very weak. If you control 8 or more creature cards, including reinforcements, creatures you control get double strike. I mean, double strike's a good ability. It's just too weak at the bottom end, you know. I want the power up top. When I put a card into my deck, I want the power straight away. I don't want to have to wait ages to get the power out of it. It's too... the power's too much on the top end, on the back end, and not on the front end, I should say. That makes more sense, doesn't it? So, yeah, not one for me. Jetmir's Fixer, Cat Warrior. When you match a support's gem, if it's a treasure card, this creature gets +1/+1. Bit pointless. This effect can trigger only once per turn. Even more pointless. Activate 3 red or green. Creature gets +1/+1. Trigger only once per turn. Okay, yeah, all right. It's better than a lot of crap commons, isn't it? I guess. I still think it's needlessly complicated, really. Although, you know, obviously the fact that it gets bigger every turn is quite important. But I just feel they could have slimmed that card down a lot. It's certainly not good enough for anyone to give a toss about. Jetmir's Garden. Oh, this is a shame, isn't it? Jetmir's Garden. At the beginning of your turn, convert 3 gems to red, green, or white. These are not the best lands for playing with. If I'm perfectly honest, I don't even particularly like it. Is this... I'm going to say a thing now and then I'm going to decide whether I mean it or not. I was going to say I don't particularly like the lands that convert 2 and 2. You know, the man lands and the pathways. I do like them. It's not true that I don't like them. I generally would prefer playing with a land that converts 3 gems to a single colour over a land that converts 2 gems to 1 colour and 2 gems to 2 colours. But those lands are still good. But a land that converts 3 gems to 1 of 3 colours, you know, it just seems like it's going to be shuffling the board about a little bit and not really achieving very much. I don't think this is a good land. It costs 12. That's expensive. We've got better lands that just convert to a single colour for less than that. It has cycling, you know, which will be nice on a good land, but, you know, part of why you put a cycling card in your deck is because you actually want to play with the card itself. We've already got a critical mass of cycling cards. Have we in standard? I don't even know if we have in standard. I'm sure we have. We've already got a critical mass of cycling cards that for decks when you don't care if you play them, you know. I don't know, maybe. People are playing those, what are they called? I can't remember. There was a whole cycling cards in Neo that when you exile a card, you put some mana into it, which it obviously breaks wide open with cycling. So, I don't know. There's a use for cycling cards as standard, if you don't hate cycling like I mean, I quit the damn game last time when they first introduced cycling. I just got so sick of it. I hated it so much, and it was bugging me because it was setting off my RSI. So rather than like just play something else, which wasn't the tier 1 strategy, I just thought, fuck it, I'm going to play a different game instead. That's how much I hate cycling. So, but yes, however good cycling is, cycling aside, this is not a good land. Madren was saying earlier, we looked at this in the Discord earlier, and my mate Madren was saying this is a bit of a skill test of this card. And I suppose it is. I suppose this is the type of card that a new player might think is good, and they might put it into their deck, and through playing with it, they might learn that it's not good. And there's certainly room for cards like that in a set. But, you know, it does mean it's a bad card. Jewel Thief. When this card enters the battlefield, create a gold token. Yeah, waste of time. Ginny Fey. Give me a second. When you cast this card, destroy all tokens you control. Then create that many green, cat, or dog tokens. Interesting. Okay. So it's not actually creating tokens, really, because you're having to throw away as many tokens as you are creating. Beginning of a turn, you may destroy target token creature you control. If you do, create X green, cat, or dog tokens. It's equal to the number of destroyed creatures' reinforcements. Okay. At the beginning of the combat on your turn, cat tokens you control gain haste until the beginning of your next turn. Well, I can only assume that dog tokens maybe are bigger than cat tokens. Otherwise, what's the point of having cat tokens or dog tokens? Yeah? Cat tokens have got haste, dog tokens haven't got haste. So I'm kind of assuming maybe green cat tokens are 1/1s, yeah? Maybe dog tokens are 2/2s. Does that sound about right? That sounds about right, doesn't it? I'm just not sure that I care about this. Having to destroy all of your tokens in order to get the same number of tokens, and then destroy all your tokens to get slightly more tokens. It just seems like a bit of a waste of time, doesn't it? You know, just play with Thop to Spy Network. It's good. It's quite cheap to get hold of Thop to Spy Network with if you craft the mythics in Origins. Go and get Thop to Spy Network and play with that instead. It's still one of my favourite cards. Join the Mattress. Spell card. Ogre Warrior. 14 mana. That's all it does. Now, from the title of the token, I would guess this token is probably about a 3/3. An Ogre Warrior sounds like a 3/3, doesn't it? 2/2 maybe. Maybe as big as a 4/4. How big would this token need to be for me to give a shit about this card? Probably an 8/8, I think. I think if this creates a 6/6 token, even though, you know, I have noticed it's got casualty, and you can destroy one of your other creatures to put another one of these rubbish tokens into play. I think if it's a 6/6 creature, it's already pointless, and you know there are already better creatures that you can play than it, even in standard. Then you would need to be at least an 8/8 for me to care, and I bet you £1,000,000 it isn't as a common card. That is Join the Mattress. I'm just repeating the joke there, just in case you missed it the first time. Join the mattress there. Join the mattress. Join the mattress. Kill shot. Target opposing creature gains enchanted. When this creature attacks, destroy this creature. Now, we don't like cards, did we? We went through this whole spiel yesterday. We don't like cards that don't just say destroy target creature on them and make you jump through hoops in order to destroy a creature. This comes quite close to just saying destroy target creature. The hoop that it makes you jump through is a very large and low hoop that is very easy to get through. So I kind of don't mind this, actually. You know, even the flash is kind of matters on it. Presumably, the way it will work is, yeah, if your opponent puts a creature into play, you will be able to flash this out at the start of combat, and that creature will die before even dealing damage. Presumably, that's how it works. Yeah, maybe the creature deals damage and then it dies. It's still all right. Maybe you have to wait until next turn. Who knows? Who knows how Octagon have implemented it? But you know, if they've done it in a sensible way, and you can use it to kill a creature before it deals you damage on their turn, then the haste has been well implemented there. I feel like we're going to find out, though, that I think there are some more control cards coming in the set that are like multicolored cards and are just going to put this to shame. Just going to hide this into the shade. So it's okay. As a white kill card. I suspect better probably already exists and might exist. I mean, you know, white's already got Sigarda's Imprisonment, which is a particularly awesome white removal spell that people like, you know. So yeah, I don't mind kill shot. Kill shot's okay. Knight of New Alara. The beginning of combat on your turn till the beginning of your next turn, other multicolored creatures get +1. Again, it's the triggers. Why has everything got to be triggers with you, Octagon? Why doesn't it just say other multicolored creatures get +X/+X for each of their reinforcements? Full stop. Why have you got to add in all of these triggers? I mean, I know why you want to add in all the triggers. It's because you have to worry about the triggers anyway. You're the programmers. You have to make sure that the bonuses from this card change, and that would trigger when anything happens. But we don't have to care about that as the players. Make our cards easier to read. Octagon. X is equal to the number of colours on those cards. Yeah, I don't think I care. Again, very underwhelming. Masterpiece. Probably even worse than we've seen a couple of masterpieces recently, haven't we, that I've said will be the best card in your deck of unmastered cards that you're mastering. When you're throwing 10 cards into a deck, you don't want to have to spend time picking out cards that have got multicolored colours in them. So yeah, I don't think this is even going to be a particularly fun card to master. Don't like it. Just play with something bigger. Moving on. Knockout Blow. Yeah, do you know I can boot those spam bots? Shmara, I've got a spam bot in the bloody chat again. I don't actually. I should have Googled that, shouldn't I? Yes, I'm sorry, my bad. Shall I make a note of that? Spam bot. I am writing down. There we go. I'll Google that before part 3. I'll see if I can find out how to kick them out. Let's go on to Knockout Blow. Deal 4 damage to target creature without can't attack and can't block. If the creature is red, you gain 6 mana. Obviously terrible. Dealing a finite amount of damage. Gaining 6 mana thing is interesting, isn't it? But it's too narrow on it affecting a red creature. All in all, bit of a waste of a card. Lagrella the Magpie. is an uncommon legendary card. When this creature enters the battlefield, exile your first other creature and target opposing creature. When this creature leaves the battlefield, return the last creature from each player's exile to the battlefield under their owner's control. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's something here for the Johnnies. It seems too mirrory, doesn't it? You know, too much of a mirror effect that affects both players equally. And I don't like this thing that we've got at the moment, you know, where you're exiling one of your opponent's cards. There's quite a few things that do this recently. You exile one of your opponent's cards, and then they get something back when the card is destroyed. But the thing they get back is a different card from their exile, you know? And it does kind of leave open the possibility that what they get back is much better than what you destroyed in the first place. It's not always so easy to totally, you know, design what's on the top of your opponent's exile. So, yeah, I think I probably don't care. I think I probably don't care. It's not too offensive, I suppose. Ledger Shredder. When a player casts their second card each turn, this creature connive. They really think that connive is good, don't they? They really think it's good. I really don't think it is. You know, you're drawing and discarding a card and you're pumping the creature up. And you probably are pumping the creature up, but you might not be pumping the creature up. They're into connive, don't they? They put it on these very weak cards that makes me think that they think it's a powerful ability, and it's clearly not a powerful ability. Put it on a good card and I'll see how I like it. Light them up. An opposing Vanguard support loses 2 shield. Not you can't deal 2 damage to target opposing creature. Just no fucker is ever playing with this card, Octagon. You know, look at your damn metrics. Yeah? After the sets come out, see if anyone plays this. No fucker is playing this card regularly. It's a waste of everybody's time, even printing it, you know? There's a card in there are shitty burn spells in Origins. Let players learn about their shitty burn spells with Origins. Don't put cards like this into other sets. Lord Xander. Hello, Lord Xander. He is a vampire demon noble, and he is a bit expensive as a 20 mana 6/6. When this creature enters the battlefield, your opponent discards 2 cards. Okay, not that good, really. When this creature attacks, destroy the top 5 cards of your opponent's library. Then mill 30, gain 10 loyalty. Interesting. I mean, 10 loyalty is a fair old whack, isn't it? I mean, you are gambling on the fact that your opponent doesn't have useful cards in his graveyard, which is something that he might well have. I mean, I don't really know about Standard, but certainly that's not really happening in Standard right now. I've not really seen anything in this set that's particularly scary. You know, we're not dealing with beacon bolts anymore. You know, you wouldn't be wanting to dump cards into your opponent's graveyard back in the days of beacon bolt and quasi-duplicate, things like that. So maybe I don't mind filling up my opponent's graveyard with cards in order to get 10 loyalty a turn. The problem is that it's quite a few attacks, isn't it? Discarding 2 cards, you know, and then 5 every attack is quite a few attacks to get to mill 30, even if you're combining it with other things, you know, because, you know, everything that you combine it with that mills your opponent is probably wasting your time. This is probably going to be the only good effect that mills your opponent, you know, is gaining the 10 loyalty. So it seems very slow. Nice effect though. When this creature dies or loses a reinforcement, Destroy half the opposing cards at random, rounded down. That is interesting. Half the opposing cards at random, rounded down. I mean, clearly, my first thought is that clearly that's going to be crap against Pajami, isn't it? Because you're going to hit a load of his bloody token supports and leave his creatures in play and curse your rotten luck. But of course, Pajami is only one planeswalker out of 100 or however many we have these days. I don't know. I mean, that's a pretty decent effect, destroying half somebody's cards at random. But I feel like it's not a high enough chance to hit the thing that you're worried about, to be perfectly honest. You know, we're back to the GR again, you know. If this doesn't kill the GR, you're going to think to yourself, why was I even bothering to play it, aren't you? There is some power here, but I'm not convinced it's all making a good card, to be perfectly honest. Moving on, Luxurious Libation. What have we got? Target creature gets +X, X card stored mana, that is +6/+6. If you control 2 or less non-token creatures, create a creature. We still don't know how big those citizens are we? Could be 3/3s, they could be 1/1s. We think they're probably 1/1s, don't they? Maybe they're different sizes. Who even knows? And then it's doing that weird thing about reinforcing your first creature with alliance again, isn't it? Which again makes me think maybe that citizens have alliance and do some kind of thing. I mean, yeah, basically not powerful enough is what I'm saying, you know. I want that kind of card. I want it to put more power and toughness of tokens into play. I want it to matter. Do you know what I mean? I don't really want this to find this as my first card in my hand that I play, and to play a creature and to lose the +X/+X. You know, I want some kind of design on a card like this to mean that it's worth playing. Give the creature haste. There you go, and then the +X/+X matters. There you go. Fucking hell, I can design cards, me. But yeah, don't like it. Mattress Ascendancy. Yeah, I'm just going to keep doing it. I thought it was funny the first time. I'm just going to keep doing it. Mattress Ascendancy. At the beginning of your turn. Oh, now the other Ascendancy that was a support was quite good, wasn't it? That was the one that put 9 mana into things. Let's see if this one is good as well. Beginning of your turn, you may give target creature you control imminent death. If you do, pick one of the first 4 spell cards from your graveyard, exile that card, then create a copy of that card in your hand. It gains full mana. I mean, full mana's good, yeah. I don't know about this. I mean, this is more power. Most of the cards that I usually say, why not just play with Thought to Spy Network on its own, aren't quite as powerful as this, are they? That's the thing. I still have that feeling of why don't you just play Thought to Spy Network on its own, you know? But to be putting some tokens in play every turn, you know, and then having imminent death, so maybe you end up keeping some tokens in play. I don't think you would with Skeletal Swarming, would you? If your Skeletal Swarming is putting 2 tokens into play, so I think you're not gaining tokens every turn unless you're using that Morbid ability. So really it's only Thought to Spy Network that's allowing you to gain a critical mass of tokens every turn. And then you pick one of the first 4 spell cards in your graveyard, exile that card, create a copy of that card in your hand. It gains full mana. just there's a lot of moving parts there, aren't there? You know, you need something to be putting creatures out into play, which isn't a spell, and you need this that isn't a spell, and then you need the actual spells to be to cast, and then you're going to need something to put those spells into your graveyard because this is exiling them. I don't know. I think maybe I like this less than the other Ascendancy card, you know. I mean, there is a lot of power here. Maybe it's okay, but it's going to be quite difficult to really break it, you know. Full mana though, can't argue with full mana, can you? Maestro's Charm, we've liked some of these charms. Well, no, that's not true. We liked one of these charms before, didn't we? The other one was shit. If there are 6 or more blue... Oh, excuse me. Bit of a hiccup there. 6 or more blue gems. Pick one of the first 4 cards of your library. Fetch that card. Okay, that's not very good. I would like some mana in it, please. But, you know, it's passable. 6 or more black gems, your opponent loses 6 life, you gain 6 life. That's kind of nothing. If there are 6 or more red gems, an opposing Vanguard support loses 5 shield. 5 is better than 2. It's still kind of just 5, but it is better than 2. If it can't, deal 5 damage to the first opposing creature. Yeah, don't like this one. Don't like this one. A lot of low power effects. If you can guarantee that all 3 of them go off, it's still not enough for me. And you can't guarantee that all 3 of them go off. Sorry, Mr. Charm. We only like one of you so far. What have we got here? Maestro's... Oh, I forgot to say mattress, damn it. Maestro's Diabolis. This is Death Touch and Haste. 2 abilities that don't particularly work together. When this creature attacks, if you don't control a card named Red Devil, create a Red Devil. Now we know what devils do, don't we? They're 1/1 tokens, and when they die, they deal some damage. At least if this is the same type. At least I think that's right. No, is that necessarily right? Maybe that's not necessarily right. Does Zariel create Red Devil tokens that don't actually deal damage? I'm thinking of those little tokens that you get out of that Avacyn casts in the Avacyn's Madness event. It's going to run over to my my other phone and go and have a look. Anyway, it does seem rather to be like a 1/4 creature that creates a single other 1/1 creature and nothing else. That seems like not much goddamn power for 7 mana, doesn't it? God knows why anyone would actually play with such a thing, you know? I'm sure in paper, it's probably a nice cheap creature with Death Touch. And of course, you can choose to attack and block things. In paper, Death Touch matters in paper. Death Touch not so important in Puzzle Quest unless you link it up with another ability. Mage's Attendant. When this creature enters the battlefield, create a blue wizard token. Probably a 2/2. Then that card gains Defender. Okay. This card gains Enchanted. When this creature dies or loses... that card gains Enchanted. When this creature dies or loses Reinforcement, if the first card in your opponent's hand has less than 3 mana, your opponent discards that card. Otherwise, drain 3 mana from your opponent's hand. I mean, by all means, make a creature that puts another creature into play. Maybe even gives it Defender. But just make it much more powerful than this. Again, no fucker is playing this card. It's just not going to happen. Majestic Metamorphosis. Target creature's base power and toughness becomes 4/4 until end of turn. Which gains flying and gains the angel and artifact subtypes until end of turn. I mean, again, you know, that's one of those things that people like and they say play it with Thought to Spy Network, and I say just play Thought to Spy Network, and, you know, fair enough. If you like pumping your tokens up, then play with Majestic Metamorphosis by all means. Make disappear. Drain 6 mana from... Oh, it's this rubbish new drain mechanic that they have, isn't it? 6 mana from your opponent's hand. And if the first card in the hand has 0 mana, opponent discards that card. Yeah, we don't care. Didn't we have... We've had a card in this set that just discards the first card in your opponent's hand, haven't they? Do that again. That was fine. We didn't mind that. Rubbish discard mechanic. Mass button. It's got casualty, whatever. Go and if you want to work out what that means, go and think about it yourself. I can't be asked. Masked bandits are definitely too small. They have menace and vigilance for some reason. When you exile this card from your hand, 6 or more mana, create 6 gems to black, red, or green. Yeah, there's obviously a cycle of these, haven't we? We've seen this before. We have already had a card that when you exile it, converts 6 gems. Yes, converting 6 gems to one of 3 different colours probably just isn't going to be that good, to be perfectly honest. Even if it picked a random colour and converted 6 gems all to that colour, even if it did that, which I doubt it does, doubt it will, probably not going to be particularly playable. And of course the creature itself, worthless. Mayhem Patrol. When this creature attacks, target creature you control gets +1/+0 till end of turn. Yeah, that is the very poster child for why did I fucking bother playing this Blitz card. You know? It matters. Dealing 2 damage to your opponent is in paper is 10% of their mana. 10% of their health total, sorry, Octagon. Yeah? Get that into your heads. Dealing 2 damage to your opponent matters in paper in a way that it will never matter in Puzzle Quest, because everyone has over 100 life. Waste of time. Fetch the first 3 different cards with exactly 3 colours from your library. Right, well, there certainly are a lot of cards with exactly 3 colours in this set, haven't we? Some of them are even quite good. Certainly that bouncy top of library card that I liked, that was 3 colours, hasn't it? There's been all kinds of creatures with 3 colours in this set. The first 3 different cards with exactly 3 colours from your library, those cards gain full mana. I mean, almost certainly one to watch, you know. I would hold off on this for a while and just give the combo players time to work with it, yeah? As a spike, I don't think I'm going to be putting this into my Karn deck. You know, I feel like it's just not going to fit in my, you know, in my pared down control deck as a thing that I get value out of. I doubt it. So I just give the combo players a little time to work with this card, because they may do magic with it. You never know. They may be able to come up with something ridiculous for this card, and you may find you can practically win the game for casting it. So keep your eyes on it, but maybe don't run out and get it straight away. Or maybe it'll be an exclusive. Maybe they'll give it away in Battle from the Ages. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? And then we could all have it and all just kind of play around with it. That'll be cool. Metropolis Angel. 3/1. When a buffed creature or a creature with a shield counter or with a gained basic I hate this gained basic evergreen more than... They've only just introduced this phrase and I already hate it as much as I hate like non-land support or including its reinforcements, or of course the dreaded until end of turn. I really hate this phrase more than I could have thought possible. Or with a gained basic evergreen, you control attacks. Okay, so it's buffed, it's got a shield counter, or it's got a gained basic evergreen. And remember, evergreen doesn't mean evergreen, it just means ability in Puzzle Quest, because Octagon don't know their asses from their elbows. Draw a card, that card gains X mana. Oh, that sounds good. X is the number of buffed creatures plus the number of creatures. Blah, 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 blah. This effect can trigger only once per turn. Buffed creature, creature with number of creatures. Yeah, it's not talking about reinforcements, this one, isn't it? So the most you're going to get is 3 mana into it. So frankly, play with Mischievous Catgeist. If you want a card every turn and you want 3 mana put into it, and you want to do that with a creature, play with Mischievous Catgeist, which is 8 mana. You know, or if you just want a card every turn, like I do, play with Curse of Surveillance, which is a really great little card that costs 3 and just draws you a card, and even put the little drabs of mana in it every so often. That's too expensive, Metropolis Angel, and I do not care. Mikaeus the Lunarch. Okay, this is oh, you can see his Avacyn symbols on his robes. You can see this is a reprint, not a misprint, a misprint from an earlier set. No, this is a reprint from an earlier set. When you match a white gem, this card is in your hand, increase the card's level by 1. Otherwise, this creature gets +1/+1. Otherwise means it's in play. Okay. Then, if this creature's power is 7 or greater, your other creatures get +2/+2. I mean, it's just a bit weird that they've given him level, isn't it? They could just have him get +X/+X in your hand. In fact, I'm pretty sure, don't we already have abilities that give +X/+X to cards that are in your hand? Certainly not many, and they're all kind of old abilities. Yeah? Isn't there something in Revolt Against the Consulate? One of the levels, doesn't that have an ability that pumps up the cards that are in your hand? I think so. I think they should have done that. I think having level on this card was a bit pointless and a bit too much of a thing. I think they should have just let it pump the power and toughness of the card up as it was in your hand. So that's basically what it does. When you match a white gem, it gets ++1/+1, whether it's in your hand or whether it's not in your hand. Yeah, that's how I'm going to think about it. And then when you've done that 7 times, it's not only pumping himself up, it's pumping your other creatures up as well. Nah, I'm not going to be playing with it. Probably better than most of those other. Again, you know, this is going to be the best card in your pile of unmastered cards. But I really can't see myself playing with it in any kind of constructed deck. Most wanted. Target creature gets +2/+1 and gains enchanted. When this creature dies or loses a reinforcement, create 2 gold tokens. Rubbish. Moving on. Mr. Oreo, the Boulder, is a 2/4 for 13 mana. At the beginning of combat on your turn, double the power of target creature you control. Can you hear them? Do you hear that in the background? That is the sound of Timmies and Johnnies creaming their pants. I couldn't care less, really. But Timmies and Johnnies look at a card like this and, oh my god, imagine if I had a creature that had 50 power and I could double it up to 100 power. That would be amazing. Yeah, okay. I'm quite happy. If you want to give me a creature with 50 power, I'm quite happy to leave it as a creature with 50 power. Just beat my opponent up with it, you know? Yeah, I'm not at all bothered by that, and I don't think it's particularly good either, to be honest. One of those fucking pilot things. Oh god, this is the thing that they've brought over. We haven't had any ninjutsu, we haven't had any channel, but they have brought over this fucking waste of space pilot mechanic from Neon Dynasty, and I wish they hadn't. What does this one say? Creature with pilot 2 or great attacks. You may exile up to 1 target creature you control. Then pick one of the first 4 creature cards from your exile. Move that card to your hand, it gains full mana. I mean, I guess. Creature control, when it enters the ball, creature with power 2 or more gains pilot 2. Okay, not too hard to get. Creature. Look at me actually reading the card. Now there's an effect that's quite good on it. I'm not saying the card's good. I'm just saying that, you know, putting cards into play that pay for themselves is good. I mean, I very much doubt I'm going to be playing with it, but control with power 2 or more. A random creature with pilot 2 loses pilot. Type creature you control with pilot 2 or more gains pilot. I've never really had to appraise one of these things before. I think basically you're always going to have the creature you want have pilot, aren't you? I mean, yeah, now I think about it, when you think of the training mode level, when your creature loses pilot, you are able to give it back to the same creature, aren't you? So I think you're always going to give the right creature pilot. It's not going to be a case of the wrong creature that you don't want to vanish from play disappears when you go and fetch another creature. I just nah. Nah. That's what I think about it. Nah. That noise, that's what I think of this card. I guess it could be worse. I just hate these pilot cards so much. Exit one target creature. Pick one of the first 4. You're picking a card. Putting it into play. It might be alright. I'm not playing with it. Nightclubber. When this creature enters the battlefield, all opposing creatures get -X/-X. X is equal to 2 times their reinforcements. Right, so if they haven't got any reinforcements, it does nothing to them. Is that what you're saying? If it's got 1 reinforcement, it gives it -2/-2. I mean, it just kills such a tiny subset of creatures that you're honestly going to ask yourself, why the fuck was I playing with this card? Nobody will. Nimble Larcenist. When this creature enters the battlefield, your opponent discards the first spell or artifact card from their hand. Well, the first spell or artifact card probably isn't going to be the first card in their hand. The first card in their hand is probably going to be a creature. So I don't think I care. Obscura Ascendancy. Oh, hello, more Ascendancies. Let's see what this one looks like. When you cast a card, if that card's base cost is equal to or greater than this card's level, increase this card's level by 3. Then create a white spirit token. Okay, well that's going to be quite easy. The first few times you cast a card, you're definitely going to be increasing this card's level, and you're going to be getting a white spirit token. Not impressive in and of itself, but let's see what else happens. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if this card's level is 15 or more, so that's 5 lots of pumping it up, which starts to get harder, doesn't it? You know, but as it approaches level 15, you're having to play more expensive cards. You know, and I would hope we're all keeping our mana curves down these days so we don't get mana screwed. If this card's level 15 or more, spirit creatures you control get +3/+3 for each of their reinforcements till the beginning of your next turn. So we've put this into play. We've cast 5 cards. That's the best case scenario, is 5 cards. Maybe a few more cards to get this up to level 15. And that has created 5 white spirit tokens, which are unquestionably going to be 1/1 flying creatures. And then when it's 15, those 5 spirits are going to get +15/+15. And they're going to attack for 20 damage. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's not as good as Stop to Spy Network, is it? Yeah, you know, it's nice that you get some creatures out, and you keep putting creatures out, and then you get a big old buff, and they hit your opponent for a lot of damage. The problem is that the level of this thing keeps getting up, you know, so it becomes harder and harder to actually sprog spirits out of it. You know, it's quite easy to sprog spirits out of it at the beginning. And you're going to get it up to level 15, but then what happens when that creature gets shot? It's going to be quite hard to get another spirit out of it. It still has the effect, it still sits in play having the effect of pumping up your spirit creatures. So I suppose if you have other spirit creatures from other cards, fair enough. But yeah, I would prefer just to have a card that just pumps out tokens in its own right without getting harder and harder for it to do so. And I think you can all imagine exactly which card I'm talking about. Here we go with another charm. This is charm number 4. If there are 6 or more white gems, return the first multicoloured non-spell card with cost 9 or less from your graveyard to play under your control. Who knows? That seems to be quite a narrow constraint on that card, doesn't it? A multicoloured card, multicoloured permanent that costs 9 or less. There may be one. There may well be a nice, powerful multicoloured card that costs 9 or less that you want to put back into play with this card. But there may also not be one. There may just not be one that exists. If there are 6 or more blue gems, drain all mana from the first spell card in your opponent's hand. Rubbish. If there are 6 or more black gems, destroy an opposing Vanguard support which costs 9 or less. Well, who cares about Vanguard supports costing 9 or less? How many are there? There's probably about 4 in the entire game. Vanguard supports that cost 9 or less. No, that's absolutely a waste of my time. If you can't destroy the first opposing creature with cost 9 or less. No. No, no, no. No, 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 no. Don't like it at all. Like I say, yeah, I guess it's possible that that first ability on the card might be something you want. But even then, the fact that the other 2 abilities are so pants means you're probably not going to play with that card. And you're probably just going to draw other copies of whatever the multi-coloured permanent is from your deck and play that instead. None of the charms have been as good as the first one, have they? And I don't think the first one will. I think it might be I'm building up the first one in my head a bit, thinking, oh, maybe it was really great, but I don't remember it being completely awesome, the first charm. I just remember it being right, you know. Obscura Interceptor. What do we have here? We've got some lifelink and we've got some connive. Don't mind making lifelink creatures bigger. Maybe this will be the one. Maybe this will be the connive creature that makes me actually want to play it. If this creature enters the battlefield, it connives. Right, yeah, it's not conniving on a regular basis, is it? That's a shame. So it's not going to be making itself bigger and bigger and dumping more and more cards into your graveyard. There is more though. Then if your opponent controls a Vanguard support, return an opposing Vanguard support to its owner's hand. Otherwise, return an opposing card at random to its owner's hand. Ooh. Now that is interesting, actually. I like that. I mean, as I say, I don't play with Harbinger of the Tides a lot, and an important part of Harbinger for me is the fact that it really adds to the value you get from the card by increasing the cost of your opponent's card. Getting rid of a card at random. I mean, you know, we don't know. It's possible Octagon have been nice and they've discounted treasure tokens and, you know, Ajani's leadership tokens from this, but it's possible they haven't as well, in which case it's, utility in many circumstances is going to be limited. But I like the fact that it's got some bounce on it. And it couples that up with a lifelink creature. That's considerably better than just coupling up with a creature, you know? So probably the randomness of it is going to mean it's not playable enough. But I like the fact they've put it onto a lifelink creature. I want to see more things like this. Would have liked it so much more if it connived every turn, you know? Or connived for something. Yeah, the total randomness of it. It's not a spell queller, is what I'm saying. You know, spell queller always hits the most expensive thing, and has proven itself to be quite a decent card. I like where this is going. Make a version of this that's more powerful, Octagon. Ognis, the Dragon's Lash. The Ashana, I haven't seen one of those for a while. They were in bloody Mirage at the Viashino. When a creature with haste you control attacks, like this one, create a gold token, then disable that token until the beginning of your next turn. Oh. I mean, it's hardly as good as Captain Lannery Storm, is it? Yeah? That used to create a bunch of... was it a she? Was Lannery a she? I think Lannery was a she. She used to create a bunch of treasure tokens, and she used to pump herself up with them. This isn't good enough, and I do not care. Ominous Parcel. I like the name. That's a cool name. When you match this support's gem, destroy this support and deal 4 damage to target opposing creature. When the opponent matches the support's gem, destroy the support. Fetch the first land support from your library. This card gains half its mana. Yeah. Too rubbish, the effects on it for a card that does things at random. I can't imagine. They want to make a card that says win the game. When your opponent matches this gem's support, you win the game. I might play with that one. But every single card they've ever made with an effect like this on it is never powerful enough. Out of the way. Is this going to do some bouncing by any chance? Draw a card. Return target creature to its owner's hand. If that creature is green, you gain 6 mana. It's alright. It's a little bit expensive for a bounce spell. 9 mana for a bounce spell. Pretty expensive, to be perfectly honest. You know, as I say, you know, you're paying Harbinger, you're paying 10. You're getting a 4/4 body on the table, which is nothing. It's something. It's a little something. And it's increasing the, it does that, you know, 6 mana damage, drain, 6 mana increasey number thing. God, I'm in trouble speaking tonight. So a little bit expensive out of the way, I think, and as such, not going to see much play. But again, you know, bad removal, as I was saying yesterday, bad removal, we enjoy playing with bad removal cards in mastery decks. So I find it difficult to, these days, to have to be too hard on bad removal and bad land cards. Park Heights Pegasus is a 6 mana 2/1. It's nice and cheap. When this creature deals combat damage, okay, with its flying and trample, if 2 or more creatures entered the battlefield under your control or were reinforced this turn while this creature was on the battlefield, draw a card. I mean, that's blatantly not good enough, is it? To put 2 creatures into play in order to draw a card. Top to Spy Network just draws a card anyway. Blatantly not good enough, that card. Patch up. Return the first 3 creature cards with base cost 8 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, eh? That could be good. What costs 3 or less? Startled Awake costs 3 or less. Okay, 8 or less. Sorry, not 3 or less. 8 or less. Startled Awake definitely costs 8 or less. I mean, that's a powerful, decent, powerful effect that needs to find the right deck. Will it have the right home in Standard? Probably not. Probably won't have the right home in Standard. Will it have the right home in Legacy? Probably not either. Oh dear. Yeah, it's probably a card that's never going to find a home. Maybe it will. Doubt it. Plasma Jockey. This is another one of those rubbish blitz cards. When this creature attacks, target opposing creature gains can't block. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever noticed this about your own game, Octagon, but creatures can't block anyway. That's not a thing that they do. So, yeah, that's a real waste of everyone's time. Prize Fight. Your first creature fights target opposing creature. Create a gold token for 4 mana. Well, same as earlier. Yeah, it's a bad removal spell. And bad removal spells are okay for mastery decks, aren't they? So, but it is definitely a bad removal spell. Professional Facebreaker. Oh dear, I do like some of the flavour we're getting on the cards here. When a creature you control deals combat damage to your opponent's planeswalker, create a gold token. Combat damage to planeswalker can only trigger once a turn. It is kind of weird that they've put this on creatures, haven't they? When a creature you control deals combat damage, create a token. We've had that on many different cards, and it only triggers once, you know? And yeah, I mean, technically it's a little better than when this creature deals damage to your opponent, because you can put this creature into play and it hasn't got haste, and another creature will be able to hit and do the thing. It just feels a little weird. At the beginning of your turn, if you control 1 or more gold tokens, okay, well, it sounds quite easy to have 1 or more gold tokens. You may destroy one of these tokens. If you do draw a card, that card gains Outcast. When a treasure support you control is destroyed, the first card in your hand with Outcast gains 3 mana. That's probably not good enough, is it? The Outcast is the thing where you're going to get that card, but it's going to be temporary in your hand. You're going to have to cast it this turn, otherwise it's going to fuck off. So it's probably not good enough that it's drawing you a card. You know, you probably, frankly, just want to play with a Jessian Thief or a Sigil Starfish instead. A 10 mana 2/3 with Menace in and of itself just rounds out the utterly unremarkable package, doesn't it? We don't care. Prowling Geist Catcher is another masterpiece. When another creature you control dies or loses a reinforcement, if it's a token creature, this creature gets +2/+2. Otherwise, exile it. This increases card's level by 2. Okay. That doesn't seem to be doing anything just yet. When this creature leaves the battlefield, move the first X cards from your exile to your hand. X is equal to this card's level. They gain Y mana. Y is this creature's power. So if it just dies, we're gaining no cards. Right, okay, probably. Well, maybe we'll gain 1 card. Who knows? It might start at level 1. You never know. I'm pretty sure cards will start at level 0, though. And that's the problem, isn't it? That's the baseline of this card is the problem. It needs to... If you've lost a couple of token creatures and a couple of actual creatures, then that's when it starts to get to the level that we might care. This is not good if we've lost 2 and 2, 4 different creatures. It's not yet good at that point, but it's the point which we can talk about it. So yeah, you just have to do too much stuff. It has to hang around for too long with too many things dying before it even starts being good. We do not like it. Sonic Snoot, when this creature enters the battlefield, it connives. Rubbish. Psychic Pickpocket. Creature enters the battlefield, it connives. Then return target creature to its owner's hand. Yeah, too expensive. Innit? A 14 mana bouncy creature is too expensive. I mean, you know, your opponent is unlikely to have paid much more than 14 mana for it. And the 3/2 body you're getting, even if it's a 4/3 body that you're getting, and the single card you get to throw into your graveyard, is all not worth it. It's just not expensive. Not powerful enough. Not powerful enough. Public Enemy. Your opponent draws a card. Target opposing creature gains imminent death. Then that creature gains enchanted at the beginning of combat on your turn. You lose X life. X is the sum of the power of all creatures. Interesting. All creatures. So, I mean, it feels like you want your opponent's creature to stay in play for a while, but it's probably not going to with imminent death. You know, it is going to fuck up a Thopter Spy Network, isn't it? Because it's just going to keep staying in play and you're going to keep losing that life. But, you know, any Thopter Spy Network player worth his salt will be able to actually kill his own Thopters at some point, which will negate the effect. So it's not like some kind of decent, you know, anti-sideboard card, frankly, even if you knew that your opponent was going to be playing with it, and you never do. So yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like a lot of the time it's just going to kill a creature a little too slowly and deal an amount of damage which is going to be fairly insignificant. I don't think I like it. Don't think I like it. Sorry. I feel like they tried something there. Pugnacious Pugilist is a 4/4 for 15 mana. When a creature attacks, if you control 2, create a red devil token. It gains haste. Just too small. Just far too small. When a creature you control is destroyed during your turn. A card you control is destroyed during your turn. Deal 1 damage to any target. And a support card you control is destroyed during your turn. Deal 1 damage to any target. Yeah, don't do me any favours, mate. Quezza, Augur of Agonies. When you draw a card, your opponent loses 2 life. You gain 2 life. I mean, what that is not a creature with a 5/5 creature with lifelink, isn't it? That's what that is. Maybe the combo players will like it. I don't know. Again, I feel like the wizard class players have already got a wide variety of win conditions to play with. But here is another one. Octagon have forgotten to make this to stop this from triggering as many times as you want in a turn. So maybe the wizard class players will like it. It feels like they've probably already got enough stuff. And everyone else, yeah, would probably just be better off with a lifelink creature, to be honest, than this thing. Quick Draw Dagger. First creature gets +1/+1 on first strike. We don't care. It's got haste. We really don't care. Beginning of the combat on your turn, the first creature gets +1/+1. When this support enters the board. Right, okay. So when it enters the board, you get +1/+1 on first strike. And then at the beginning of combat on your turn, it gets +1/+1. Yeah, we very much don't care about quick draw dagger. Rabble rousing. When a creature you control attacks, create X Celestia citizen tokens. X is 1 plus the number of that creature's reinforcements. So I'm attacking with creatures, and this thing is giving me some more creatures, but not many. At the beginning of your turn, if you control 10 or more creature cards, including their reinforcements, be the first card with hidden from exile to your hand. Yeah, don't really care. Don't really care. I haven't seen any of these hideaway cards that really make me think, yeah, I'm definitely going to play with that. I just see hideaway cards that make me think, well, I don't really get enough benefit from it. Even though it's giving me a card full of mana, I don't really get enough benefit from it to bother playing with this card. I think I'll just play with some different, better cards. Racer's Ring. This is one of those lands, isn't it? Convert 2 gems to red or green. Draw a card. Yeah, not good enough. Radha, Heir to Keld. This is another old card, isn't it? They do that with the masterpieces. When this creature attacks, the first red card in your hand gains 6 mana. That's quite a lot. When you match 3 or more green gems, the first green card in your hand gains 3 mana. That's not bad. It's not bad, is it? I doubt I'm going to be playing with it, because I like my lands to be supports generally. I don't think it's nearly as good as the Somberwald thingy. You know, the 0/1 creature that converts 5 gems to green? I don't think it's nearly that good for me to want to play with a creature instead of a support that's generating me mana. But that is generating a fair old whack of mana, isn't it? That's a pretty good card that I'm pretty sure I'm never going to play with. And it's a masterpiece. So it might be the best masterpiece we've seen. I don't know, maybe I'm selling another masterpiece short. Maybe there's been a really good masterpiece. My brain is just reminding me of all the masterpieces that I said, yeah, that'll be all right if you're mastering cards. Maybe that's why they call them masterpieces. Raffine, Scheming Seer. It's got Ward. Drain 3 mana. Ward seems to be kind of okay. Yeah, Greg's not very good at paying for Ward. It kind of stops Greg shooting things, but I don't think it's great. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control with Connive connives X times. X is the number of enabled creatures you control, including their reinforcements. That's interesting. I just don't think it's good enough. As a 1/4 creature, you know, I don't think it's good enough. I mean, it's number of enabled creatures you control, including their reinforcements. But I mean, what does that mean? Because one of the creatures you control is this one. One of the creatures you control is your conniving creature. So if you did have a stack of tokens, it would have to be the 3rd creature that you've got in play. It's an interesting thing. I like the fact that it's conniving X times, but it's just it's not good enough by any stretch of the imagination. Moving along, Raffine's Guidance. Target creature gets +1/+1. That's nothing. When a creature you control is buffed, if this card is in the graveyard, it gains 1 mana. who cares? Who cares if it gains 1 mana? It's a piece of garbage card that you don't particularly want to cast multiple times anyway. Rubbish! When this creature enters the battlefield, it connives. Yes, rubbish. When this creature enters the battlefield, it connives. Blah, 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 blah. They love connive, don't they? And it's such a nothing ability. It really is just writing words on a card for the sake of it. When this creature dies, target opposing creature gets -X, -X creature of this creature's power, which might be 2. Woohoo! Fiend's Tower. This is one of those rubbish lands. Oh, I think we're getting to that point where I'm losing the will to live, aren't we? We've got to let's give it another 5 minutes of going through cards. Where we'll get to 10:30 tonight, I think. It's been a short one tonight. I suppose we were going through all the mechanics last night and the planeswalkers and everything. We'll give it another 5 minutes, and I think we'll quit at 10:30 because I'm obviously losing the will to live slightly. I can tell I'm getting bored of these cards. And also, for some reason, it wasn't bothering me last night, but I seem to be biting the edge of my tongue a lot today. So that's giving me some grief. So I think we might not do part 3 tomorrow night, actually. I might give it a day or two before we do part 3. Part 3 will probably be the last part. We seem to have raced through the cards in this set. So, yeah, we'll keep going for 5 minutes. And then we'll leave it a day or two before going part 3, okay? This is going to be one of those cards that's going to convert gems when you exile it, isn't it? Control 2 or less non-token creatures, create citizens. Yeah. Rubbish. Refuse to yield. Target creature you control gets +2, +7, and gains vigilance until the beginning of your next turn. I like what you've tried to do there. I always think that they should make more creatures, definitely, with a lot more toughness than power. They should definitely be making vigilance creatures and defenders and reach creatures that have a lot more toughness than power. Because when they make 4/4 defenders, we don't care, you know? And so for a while they tried making 12/12 defenders. They were too good, so they stopped doing that. But I definitely think we should be seeing some more 4/20 defenders, you know? But this thing, which just temporarily gives something a big toughness boost and a little power boost, bit crap, really, innit? Bit crap. Don't like it at all. Reservoir Kraken. This is a defender with ward. Why would you give a defender ward? The thing's going to die soon enough anyway, isn't it? Beginning of each combat, you may create a fish token. I mean, I'm guessing fishes are 1/1s. Even if it was a 3/3, it would be pretty bad, wouldn't it? Oh, no, I suppose not, because it wouldn't die. I was thinking because it's a defender, it's going to die. But of course, using this as a token generator that just sits in play, if you keep giving it can't attack and can't block, it loses the defender. So it doesn't actually work. So it's not going to just get smacked into and die. So what you've got then is a token generator that might not be easily killed, but isn't generating enough tokens. To be perfectly honest, is it? One fish token every turn is just not going to be enough. So crap. Revel Ruiner. Yeah, rubbish. Just imagine if they would have been this free and easy with Lifelink as they have with Connive. Nobody's going to care about this Connive. Just spread Lifelink all over the place. Go on. Why not? I don't know why they're so proud of Connive. And they're like, yeah, we'll just put it on a card and that's enough for the design. There are mechanics you can do that with. Connive, I'm afraid, is not one of them. Revelation of Power. Target creature +2/+2 if it has a shield, counter, or has a gained basic evergreen, gains flying and lifelink till end of turn. Not enough! Not enough effect. Rubbish card. Rocks Pummeler. When this creature enters the battlefield, it gains shield counter 1. Well, as a 20 mana 6/3, that's not enough, is it? At the beginning of combat, if it has a shield counter, it gains trample. It's just not big enough for 20 mana. It should cost less, it should be bigger, it should be all of those things. I don't really care if it gains trample, do we? Moving along, we go. Streetwise Mentor. It gains shield counter 1. Okay. When a creature you control with base power 1 or less attacks, draw a card. This effect can trigger only once per turn. I mean, they're really begging me to roll out the... I'm boring myself with a Thought to Spy Network spiel today. They're really begging me to use it with another creature. You've got to have this guy in play. You've got to have another creature with base power 1. So it's probably a really shit creature unless it's a stack of tokens. It could be that, what was she called? The Failure? That masterpiece who was a 1/3, who was, you know, remember her? Who was giving you spells. I guess my point is that if you've got this rubbish card in play and you've got another creature that's hitting for 1 point of damage or a stack of tokens, why do you need to be drawing a single card with this card? It's bad. Do not play with it. Play with something else. Rith the Awakener. Ooh, hello. When this creature deals combat damage to your opponent's planeswalker, you may drain 9 mana from your hand. That is quite a lot. If you do, create X sapling tokens. X is the greatest number of red, green, or white cards in play. I mean, it feels kind of low power, actually, for a... Seems funny to say that, doesn't it? About a creature that's going to be spitting, let's say, 8 saplings into play every turn. But it's only an 18 mana 6/6. It's making you pay 9 mana every turn to put those cards into play. I mean, certainly decent. Yeah, I'd put this maybe above high shit tier, but I don't think actually powerful enough for me to get excited about, I'm afraid. It's just, you know, push the power level up a bit there. It is a masterpiece. Make it be more masterpiecey. Riveteer's Ascendancy. This is another one of those Ascendancy enchantments. We'll make this the last one, I think. When a creature you control dies or loses a reinforcement, you may return the first creature with lesser base mana cost than the creature that died from your graveyard to your hand. The creature gains full mana. This effect can only trigger once per turn. I mean, it feels like Soul Shift was never much of a loved ability, was it? It was okay for playing in sealed decks, Soul Shift. You know, a creature dies and you get a slightly lower, a lesser creature back again. I don't know, I can't get excited about this, really. Yeah, can't get excited about it, really. If it was just swapping in, you know, one creature for another creature, that'd be great, wouldn't it? We could do all kinds of shenanigans with that. But a specifically lower creature, that's going to be hard to do anything particularly exciting with, isn't it? Not sure I care. Okay, I think that's it for tonight. Thanks for being in, anybody who's been in. I think I've been talking to myself for a period tonight. There seems to be at least one other person in at the moment. So thanks for staying in, anyone who was here. Did we find anything exciting tonight? Nothing as good as the removal we found yesterday, I don't think. Hopefully there'll be some better stuff in tomorrow's set. I think, well, I say tomorrow, yes. I think we're going to give it a day or two. Just watch out for your notifications, see when I'm streaming again. And who knows, maybe I'll eventually get around to putting this stuff up on YouTube. Maybe I'll eventually even like just fucking stream directly to YouTube. Because presumably if you stream directly to YouTube, you can like just save your videos there indefinitely, unlike this Twitch thing that makes you blow your videos up after 2 weeks. Yeah? Who knows? Anyway, that's it for tonight. Thanks for being in. And I'll see you all in a day or two for part 3, presumably the last and final part of Streets of New Capenna. Goodbye!